Hey, welcome back to another Netcast. I'm Rich Lopez, Quantrix Authority. Sincerely appreciate you joining me today for episode number 21, where I'm going to talk about how we can condense our formulae, and we need to treat Quantrix not as a traditional spreadsheet, because it's not a traditional spreadsheet. It's far better. I have here a pretty complex model, and what I want is I want to get all of the natural accounts that are applicable to each of these lines of businesses. And I want those natural accounts, or those GL elements, if you will, to apply to be in a single cell. Okay? And I've gone ahead and I've done this. And what I'm really looking at is I've got these 4 different tabs that have all of the natural account numbers or the GL element numbers in them. And with that, I also have the reference points, which are really, I'm calling my lines of business, like Oak City, Fool Creek, Kanosh. And I've given these an applicable versus use. And if it's applicable, then use will populate. And that just means that it's applicable to that line of business. And therefore, I want it to return back to this GL, or back to this GL parameter results table. So for instance, if I go ahead and I remove this from the applicable for 4,000 for Oak City, you'll see that that disappeared from up here, 4,000. The problem is I have here a list of over 35 formulas that are doing really about the same thing, just kind of varying depending on my GL element. So I have Oak City natural account, I have Kanosh natural account, I have Fool Creek natural account, and as you can see, they're pretty much the same syntax. I'm just identifying each item of my line of business and then each of my GL elements. And I've thought, well, that's kind of silly to do it that way, because I know there's a better way and an easier way to do that in Quantrix and to really condense all of these formulas so that if I had to go in and I had to make a change to one of these, I wouldn't have to go hunting and pecking through all 35 formulas. I would maybe need to look through just a handful and make the change. So how I do this, how I condense all these formulas into one formula is really, or into a handful of formulas, is by creating a new table or a new matrix. And I've brought in my GL elements and my LOB miscellaneous. And what I've done is I've gone ahead and I've added a new category. And I'm going to call this the metric category. And within it, I'm going to have a list where I want to return my list of all the GL elements that are applicable to that line of business. And then I have this helper LOB. And this is just really a helper cell. So I really like to call anything in the models that I develop that is just kind of tertiary or helper, I call it helper. Imagine that. So anyway, helper LOB is going to be equals at this category, LOB miscellaneous. Okay? And what I want to do is I want to bring back in all the natural account lists from this natural account ref. And how I do that is, again, I'm going to use really the same formula. I'm just going to scale it. I'm going to say select the use where the applicable ID, or the applicable, if you will, is equal to 1. Okay? And I need to be a little bit more specific. I need to say using the natural account helper LOB, that's an item, as a category, my reference points here. So using as is always linking an item to a category. If I hit enter, you can see that it brings in really just the first one, that is the first natural account that's applicable to that line of business. In order to get all of them to come into a list, I need to throw in join here, okay, like so, and you'll be able to see this in just a second, and it is awesome. I hit comma separator, and what happens is it brings in all of the natural accounts that are applicable by line of business from the natural accounts ref with a single formula, whereas on the other tab it was taking as many formulas as there were items in my LOB miscellaneous. And then if I even added, say, a new line of business, I would have to add a new formula, whereas if I add a new line of business here and go in and add applicable to it, it would update automatically. And I'm able to do this with just one formula. And if I were to go ahead and I were to do this with my department list, okay, and my sub-account list, and I did this just before the recording here, just to kind of speed things up, I'm really able to create the exact same matrix as I had here, the exact same result set with 5 formulae versus 38 or so. So that is definitely a powerful way to use Quantrix. I think that doing it this way, and I've seen a lot of people do it this way, but it's really still treating Excel, or excuse me, it's still treating Quantrix much like it's Excel, that lesser program, and it's not. It's much more powerful. If you have any questions about how to maybe condense your formulae or any other questions about Quantrix Modeler, feel free to reach out to me at quantrixauthority@gmail.com. Of course, follow me here at YouTube. I absolutely love Quantrix, and I'm happy to share it with you. So please join me again for another episode of Quantrix Authority with Rich Lopez.